Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review, I'll be taking a look at the history of the Dalek set number 3, The Chase, containing the Chase Guard Dalek figure and the standard 60s Dalek drone figure as well. So the way this video is going to work, so I'm going to do the packaging, articulation and detail and compare them to the existing figures, so the Chase Guard Dalek figure and the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek. And I'll compare the Chase drone figure to the one released back in the Chase set with the Mechanoid from 2011. So that's the way this video is going to work, and let's begin with the packaging. So taking a look at the packaging for the history of the Dalek set number 3, The Chase. So we have the traditional style guide motif packaging there, Doctor Who, the TARDIS there, the limited edition sticker, and of course we have the nice window box displaying the figures there so you can check the quality control. The side of the box, and on the back we have the prototype image of the set and a bio on the Chase and a bit of history on the Dalek props themselves, so do feel free to pause if you want to have a little read of that. And of course at the side of the box we continue the window box display there and the style guide motif. So taking a look at the card insert, now the card insert is pretty similar to the one seen in the Jungles of Mechanist set. So we've got the Jungles of Mechanist background and we've got somebody from the Planet of Evil and some sort of plants from Zeta Minor, I believe. So that is the card insert for this set. So taking a look at the articulation for both Daleks, so the dome can do a full 360-degree turn, the eye stalk can go up and down, the plunger is on a ball joint and so is the gun, and of course the Daleks do move on wheels. So the first figure I'll be taking a look at is the Chase Guard Dalek figure. Now this sort of mimics back to what the B&M line started, sort of getting hard to get figures and re-releasing them for people who missed out. Now I did recently review the sound effects version. I'll leave a little card thing on screen and a link in the description below to that review if you want to check it out. So yeah, I feel like this is a great little re-release and a great one to get if you got the sound effects one, because it has been slightly tweaked. So without further ado, let's look at the detail for this figure and then we'll go on to a comparison section. So taking a look at the detail for the Chase Guard Dalek figure, so the dome has now been given this nice metallic blue finish which just really makes the figure pop and stand out, and I personally prefer this blue to the one used on the Jungles of Mechanist set. It just seems more accurate to how those Daleks appeared in the Peter Cushing films, because we all know the story, but this is a refurbished Peter Cushing Dalek. The dome lights have now been given the sort of Power of a Dalek sort of egg cup dome lights, which is accurate to how they appeared. And of course the eye stalk has got some updated paint apps, has that sort of silvery blue paint finish to the eye stalk itself. We've got these nice vibrant sort of eye rings and a nice gloss finish to the actual eye there, which really does make it stand out and pop. And of course we have the standard Dalek neckbin mesh detailing, which is done very well. The main body, if you've got the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek figure, then you'll basically know what to expect, because it's that same sort of silvery blue finish to it. Again, we've got the nice sort of gold midsection painted there, which really does make the figure pop and stand out on the shelf, which is done very well. The plunger, very much the same detailing as the standard character options classic Dalek plunger, you know, slightly extended to give that sort of telescopic extended look. Again, we have that silvery blue paint finish to it, and the gun, of course, we have the sort of gun, sort of the remembrance of a Dalek's Imperial Dalek gun, because it's a sort of thin, non-pinched version. Again, that's been given the sort of silvery blue paint finish, which really does stand out against the bright and vibrant silver ball joints. And again, moving down, we continue the sort of nice metallic hemisphere, and of course we continue that sort of silvery blue finish to the actual skirt section. And of course this Dalek does have a fender, even though it didn't have a fender in the actual story because it was very much a static prop. But the detail for this is very nice. I like the updated paint apps because they've definitely refined this Dalek variant. So moving on to the comparison section, so just for a bit of fun I put the Project Enterprise Clockwork Dalek there because it looks very similar to a Chase Guard Dalek figure. We've got the sound effects one there, and of course we have the History of the Daleks one and the Jungles of Mechanist one. So if we take a look at the sound effects version first, comparing it to the History of the Daleks, this one is more of a blue finish to it, and this has sort of a more of a darker blue, slightly purple compared to the sound effects one. As you can see, the eye stalks are slightly different. As you can see, we have the sort of bluey silver paint app finish on this, whereas this is just completely silver and more of a pale blue eye rings compared to the more darker eye rings there, and the sort of matte finish on the eye, and this has a gloss finish. The neckbin section, this has had the updated sort of bright finish silver paint apps to it, and of course the sort of mid section we have a more darker vibrant bronze section compared to the sound effects Dalek, and of course the plunger detailing being different, as we have the sort of blue silver finish to the plunger, and this is the standard silver. And of course the guns are different. If we just turn it to the side, you can see that this uses the Dead Planet Dalek gun, whereas this uses the Imperial Dalek, again continuing that sort of silvery blue paint apps. And the main body, of course, having the silvery blue finish, whereas this is just completely silver on the sound effects one. So comparing the History of the Daleks figure to the Jungles of Machinus one, obviously the main difference being the sort of blue, as this has more of a sort of purple tinge to it, and I personally prefer the blue used on the Chase Guard Dalek. Personally, actually, I feel like it's more accurate to how it appears in the film instead of that slightly purple look to it. So I definitely prefer the blue used on the Chase Guard Dalek figure. Again, the eye stalk differences there are pretty much the same, just using the different blue. The midsection is a lot more lighter on the Chase Guard Dalek one figure, and I think that works a lot better. It definitely stands out. The main body of the Dalek is the same bluey silver paint finish, and of course we have the difference in the colour of the hemispheres there. And of course the gun is now painted the bluey silver instead of the standard silver on the Jungles of Machinus Dalek. So that is the comparison for those figures. Moving on to the second figure in this set, and it is of course the standard 60s Dalek drone figure. So this is perfect for army builders, and this has been slightly tweaked compared to the original Chase release back in 2011, but we'll have a closer look at that in a minute. So if we take a look at the detail, so the detail for this figure is that the paint apps have been refined, much like the 60s Dalek drone figures from the past History of the Dalek set have now got a more shiny metallic silver paint apps, which really does make these figures pop and stand out. And of course we have the egg-cupped dome lights on this figure, because this uses the Power of the Daleks dome to create this more accurate version of the Dalek itself. The eye rings are now this sort of pale blue, much like the Dalek Master Plan figures from the History of the Dalek sets number 4. The eye stalk, the actual eye, has now got the smaller pupil, which I guess makes it a bit more of a variant if you have the original Chase figures. And of course we have the neck bin section there, the sort of mesh effect there, which is done very well, and continuing the nice silver metallic finish on the neck bin section. And of course we have the introduction of the slats, because this is the first time the slats appeared on the Dalek design in the Chase. So we have the standard sort of genesis of the Daleks mesh detailing there, with all the rivets and the mesh effect there, done very well. And of course that goes all across the figure itself. And of course, very interestingly, the midsection has now been given that sort of whitey grey finish, which I think works a lot better on this figure compared to the Dalek Master Plan one, in my personal opinion, because obviously the darker hemispheres just make it pop a little bit more and makes it less noticeable. So I definitely prefer the lighter midsection on this Chase drone figure compared to the one seen in the Dalek Master Plan set. And of course we have the standard character options plunger detailing there, the slightly extended plunger. And of course we have the standard 60s Dalek gun there, with all the sort of intricate detailing of the rings there, which is done very well. And of course we have the bright, vibrant silver ball joints. And the midsection we have the much more darker blue hemispheres, which almost seem very sort of Power of the Dalek-esque. You know, this drone Dalek does remind me very much of the Power of the Daleks figure, so I can definitely see character options just swapping the gun out and putting the sort of genesis of a Dalek gun in it. And sort of calling it a Power of the Daleks drone, because it does look very similar. Moving on to a comparison for the Chase drone figure. So this is the History of the Daleks one, this is the Forbidden Planet exclusive, and we've got the Power of the Daleks one there just to show you how fairly similar it is. So the dome is essentially the Power of the Daleks figure, you can see, with the more correct egg cup dome lights. And it is very similar, as you can see, with obviously the more darker blue hemispheres. And you can just easily see character options swapping the gun and calling this a Power of the Daleks drone figure there, with obviously the small eye as a variant. So if we look at the Forbidden Planet one, so like I said, it has the correct sort of dome lights and eye rings, because this uses the Dead Planet sort of eye stalk there. Of course we have the same sort of traditional more shiny finish on the History of the Daleks figure, compared to the sort of less sort of shiny Chase figure there, as you can see. Those are the sort of differences. And of course we have the midsection difference, this being a lot more darker, which I think it works well on the History of the Daleks one compared to the Daleks Master Plan one. It doesn't look as garish, because I feel like the hemispheres sort of compensate the sort of lightness of the midsection, and it doesn't look too out of place with the other Chase drone figures, like I said. The plunger has a slightly more gloss finish compared to the original one. You know, the gun is very much the same as you would expect, and like I said, the hemispheres are a lot darker compared to the more lighter finish. You know, these seem more Dead Planet-esque sort of hemispheres, as I do believe that the Daleks hemispheres did get darker in the sort of chase, so they were more of a darker blue finish to them. So that is the comparison for this set. So what are my overall thoughts on the History of the Dalek set number 3, The Chase? Well, I love it. I think that this is personally my favourite out of the two Dalek sets from this wave. Compared to the Dalek Master Plan one, I feel like this set offers a little bit more, especially for army builders, because you can really army build the Chase Guard Dalek and obviously the standard 60s drone figure. I think that the figures themselves have been refined very well, especially the Chase Guard Dalek figure, because it makes it seem more in keeping with the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek figure with the updated sort of silvery blue paint apps, and I personally do prefer the blue used on this figure compared to the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek, just because it just seems more in keeping on how it appeared in the Peter Cushing film. And I think that if you missed out on the sound effects Dalek, then you're definitely going to want to pick up this one. And of course the standard Chase drone figure. You can never have too many sort of standard 60s Dalek drone figures. You know, the updated dome using the power of a Dalek's drone to give it the updated egg cup dome lights and the updated eye stalk to make it seem more accurate to how it appeared in the show is a great little addition, and I really do appreciate it. The midsection, like I said, I was a little bit iffy in the Dalek Master Plan one, but I think it works very well with the Chase Dalek figure myself. So overall, I really do recommend this set. Out of the two Dalek sets, what they've done with this wave, I personally think the Chase one is the way to go, especially for an army builder, because, you know, this offers so many opportunities to army build. So yes, thank you very much for watching this figure review, and I'll see you on my next figure review, which will be a review of the Friends of the 13th Doctor set. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.